Hi guys, I'm Hannah and I'm joined by Matt today.
Hey guys.
We are at Nova Performance in Cambridgeshire, and today we are going to talk about the World Natural Strong Championships, which are coming up at the end of September. It's actually a weekend event, so it's running over Saturday and Sunday with 8 events in total, 4 events running on Saturday and 4 events running on Sunday.
It's a beast.
It's going to be pretty epic. So we are today just going to do a run through of Saturday's events, that's the first 4, and talk about a little bit what they are and maybe how to approach them in terms of training if you are taking part or if you have similar events coming up in any of your competitions.
Get like an athlete's and a coach's perspective on things.
So event number 1
Excuse me.
is axle squat for reps. So the axle bar is the really fat axle bar as well, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah. Strength Shot one is, I think it's a 50 or 60 mil, like it's a bigger version of it. So if you ever used an axle at a comp before, it's the big, thick knurls one, I think.
Yeah,
I believe,
it is. Yeah. So it's the 50 millimeter bar. And I think the bar is actually really heavy as well, comparable to a normal barbell. It's the 36 kilo bar.
Yeah, they're going to, the big one I think they're using. Yeah.
And it's not just standard Olympic plates either. We are using the big wheels as well,
wheels,
which are, we've just been debating this, we believe are 63 centimetres in diameter.
They're 63 centimetres in diameter.
And we are squatting down to a pad at varying heights.
Yeah, depending on the weight class, like the heights
depending on the
get
weight
higher
class.
And smaller depending on the bigger or the smaller weight class. Yeah.
So for me, I'm competing in the under 57 category. So I have got a 115 kilo squat down to a height of 54 centimetres. And you are doing?
Yeah, so I'm on under 80s and we are doing 185 kilograms to a little bit higher than Hannah.
To 60
but lower than the under 90s, I know that much.
I think it's to 60 centimetres.
I've been doing it all in inches, so I think it's 20...
No, it is. It's to 60 centimetres.
Yeah,
60 centimetres.
Yeah, it's like 26 inches, I think, or 24 inches.
We'll stay metric today.
We'll go with that then. But yeah, so...
tell us, right, first of all, how is this event for you?
So as an athlete approaching this, for me, the last time I tested my squat, even though it was a little while ago, my old 1 rep max was actually 185. Squat's not exactly a great event for me. I've got plates in my leg, I've got old granddad knees. So for sort of my approach compared to what Hannah's is going to be completely different as an athlete. So for me, it's very much looking at peaking my squat towards like a heavier squat rather than looking at building the reps on it. So for me, I'm probably not looking at getting like 10, 15 reps or whatever it is going to be like for the win in total. So my perspective on it is going to be very much like I need to just get the weight up on my squat. It's been a long time since I peaked my squat anyway. Like every time I do, my knee tends to like blow up and stuff. So so for me, I'm more treating it more of like a max event, like where I might only get like 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 reps. Hopefully we get more, but that's how I'm kind of approaching it in my training anyway. So as opposed to.
So for me, this event's been a bit of a challenge because in terms of how it's set up, it's probably better designed, we've talked about this, but for like a low bar setup, isn't it, rather than a high bar setup. So for me personally, the first thing I've had to learn to do is to low bar squat because I've never ever done that before.
Luckily we've got some really good powerlifters in our gym and they've been very helpful.
They have been very helpful. I'm actually going to do a little shout out today to Isaac, who is trains at Nova and is also my physio. From what you, I was going to shout, Isaac, what's your handle on Instagram? Big Head Coaching. I think it's Big Head Coaching. Check him out for a powerlifting coach. And he's been really, really good at like getting me into the right positioning and getting me into doing some low bar squats. Yeah. So for me, that's what I started doing at, I don't know, a reasonable weight.
I think you started off pretty heavy, didn't you?
I started at about 105 kilos, I think, for reps.
Pretty reasonable in like percentage-wise to the comp weight, reasonably good.
But I'm actually, I don't know how, I'm actually quite lucky, but I'm already repping comp weight quite reasonably, aren't I? Yeah,
so like your approach is completely different to mine, like where it's going to be much more of like a max sort of weight for me.
Whereas
for Hannah,
for me,
it's going to be
I'm going
more
reps.
More rep off. So like from a coach's view, obviously, when you have an athlete, you're going to have to identify what they can do. Like this is going to come up on every event, but you're going to have to identify what you can do with that weight before you can move ahead into your prep.
Yeah.
So like for myself, we're very much like I said, we're peaking up towards that more of a 1 rep max sort of thing as we get closer to the day. Whereas like for you, it's probably going to be just a case of like building reps each week, like building your volume each week. and then so when you get to comp day, you're primed and ready to hit as many reps as possible.
Fingers crossed.
Win that event, won't we, Hannah? So for myself, I'd say that's probably out of the 8 events, let alone the 4. I'd say out of all the 8, that's probably my weakest event. It's probably the one that's going to tax me the most as well, which will lead on to an interesting second event.
Being the first event, if that's going to be potentially one of the most taxing ones, then the whole competition comes into mind about what do we go for? Yeah. Do we stay low? Do we stay conservative? Do we try and
Do I go 110% on that one to try and like really limit the damage on it,
or get some reps in above everyone else?
Or do we just go in, try not to zero it, save energy for later events or whatever? So only time will tell. Can't be revealing too much now, can we? But it is world, so
Right. So should we go on to event number 2?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think event 1 leads on to event 2 very nastily.
So
but
event number 2 is the yoke carry.
Big heavy yoke as well, yeah.
It's 20 metres there, turn 20 metres back. We've got a time cap of 60 seconds. Obviously, quickest time wins, or I'm assuming after that, if you don't complete the 40 metres, then they'll just measure you for distance.
Yeah, you'll get like a distance instead of a time by the end of the 60 seconds. So it's a very heavy yoke. So for myself, under 80 kilograms, we're doing 320 kilos.
No, you're not. You're doing 300.
What did I say?
320.
What did I just say?
You're doing 300.
What did I just say? I'm doing 300.
You said you're doing 320.
Okay, cut. So as an under 80 athlete, we're going to be doing 300 kilo yoke, 20 meters there and back. As an athlete, like my athlete's perspective, I know that I can do 300 kilos pretty decent. Like we did 320 at Brits 3 weeks ago. Bar a little hiccup at the end, which was which won't happen again.
You put it down 10 centimeters too early. Had to re-pick it up and put it back down, and that was horrible.
I know exactly what I did. I know exactly what I did. It won't happen again. Do a mistake once, you don't do it again. So I know that I can go quick with 300. I've been very, very quick in prep for Brits with 300. When I was moving with the yoke, like I know it's an easy weight for me to move with. So like myself as an athlete, now it's just about developing more and more speed on that.
Yeah, so what's a good speed to aim for? Like a metre per second,
so,
2 meters per second?
Generally, if you've not got a turn in it,
we have got a turn, so let's think about the fact we've got a turn.
But like, if you haven't got a turn, I'd say like 2 meters per second. Like with the turn in, like obviously you're going to have to add in maybe a second onto that. So I reckon like 10, 11 seconds is going to be, 20, 21 seconds with it being 20 meters.
So you reckon 21 seconds in total there and back?
I reckon I'm going to be aiming sub 20, yeah.
Sub 20? Yeah. Wow.
2 meters per second is like a good movement speed. So 10 seconds there, turn around, 10 seconds back.
You heard it here first. Matt's going to do around 20 seconds on the yoke. Okay.
Event win. But yeah, so your perspective on it, I know it's
for me, it's a slightly heavier weight.
Yep.
And whilst I know that I can complete it, I am definitely looking in the region of more of a metre per second.
Yep.
So if I come in at about a metre per second plus a turn, I'll be quite happy.
So again, it just shows up like the two, like every competition is going to be different for each athlete. Like every event's going to be different for each athlete. So like, whereas like I'm looking at really gunning with it and just going max speed.
Yeah.
For you, it's very much going to be right. Just make sure there's no mistakes. Make sure there's a nice solid run. We get through it and we get good points on it, rather than because it's a weight you can do.
It is a weight I can do.
Maybe not something that you're confident like picking up and running with it full tilt, especially like after like heavy squats as well. Which again, like from a coach's perspective, having that event straight after, cheers Wiley and Luke and that, cheers for the guys who set that up by the way, but to have like that heavy rep squat before doing the yoke, it's going to be very taxing on the legs. Like I think where I say sub 20 seconds, maybe on a training day where I'm fresh, after doing the axle for reps, like the squat for reps, I think potentially that could maybe drop down to 25. Get a bit shaky on the legs, but
see that we've got to change those now 25 seconds, not 20.
But that's it. Like from a coach's view, you've got to look at like these different things, like how the comp is set up. Like if it was a press, like if we had the press medley,
and you had a break before doing the yoke,
it would be great. But so you've got to think about these things. But so like for you, it's very much like make sure we're nice and steady through the
damage
thing.
limitation. It's get it done.
By the time we get to comp, she's going to be flying with it. She's always like this.
Get it done, get it finished, don't make any mistakes.
That's it, yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, a yoke, 300 kilos, 20 by 20, and then for you, what was it, 185?
180.
180, 20 by 20. There we go.
Okay, so that moves us into event number 3, which I think is probably your favourite event.
What's event number
Which
3?
is the overhead medley.
King of the overheads in the Natties, it's got to be said. Just putting that out there. There's a lot of battle about the axle world record at the minute. So I don't know why any of you are even doubting what's going to happen. You know what's
I have seen, if anyone hasn't seen the chat that's been going on Instagram at the moment, it is worth following, like Matt, and who else has been involved?
You've got Jack, I Never Make a Comp Brennerson. Andrew Keys somehow is in the overhead running. Like, go back to your sandbags.
I think Andrew said that himself, though. Don't worry. Just
I don't know who tagged him in there, but you've got Sonny Nash.
Who is looking good.
Very dangerous overhead.
Can I just say that quickly? Natural athlete?
I believe so.
Not in UKNS though. Didn't take part.
Probably not. I believe Josh Lancaster could well be in the mix as well. Another still natural as well. So
yeah. Okay, sideline there. Let's go back to the overhead medley. So the overhead medley is, first of all, it is an axle, floor to overhead. It is followed by 2 dumbbells.
Double hex dumbbell.
Hex dumbbell, floor to overhead, into a barbell, floor to overhead.
Yep, standard barbell.
And then the last one is the log, and then we stay on the log for maximum reps until time is finished.
Yep.
So there's a 75-second time cap for this. So it's basically get to the 4th one and then do as many reps as you can until that time runs out. So for you, Matt, so as an under 80, you're starting off with a 95 kilo axle, followed by 37.5 dumbbells, into a 100 kilo barbell, and then a 105 kilo log. Easy.
We'll smash this.
Easy.
Yeah. So yeah, athlete's perspective on it, I know for myself that I can fly through those weights. Like on a barbell, my max jerk's 145, log 120 plus, axle 135. So like none of those weights are really anywhere near my 1 rep max.
So it's going to be a speed test. It's going to basically get to number 4 as quick as possible, and then get the reps out.
And I think across the board from the under 80s as well. I can't speak for some of the guys that have done the online qualifier. But I think for under 80s at that level, that's going to be a quick event.
For the ones you know, it is going to be quick,
it's going to be a quick event.
Guys
like
any
Kyle,
of those are going to be a problem.
Guys
They're
like
all
Kyle,
good lifters, aren't they, in terms of technical?
Yeah, you've got Kyle, Doug, even Liam. They're all going to be solid. I know Matt Wally and Andrew Keys aren't actually going there, although they're qualified.
They are off to, Andrew's off to the States.
Yeah, Andy's got a big pro show over in the States, which, well done for qualifying for last year. I think Matt Wally's taken a bit of time off. I think he said he wanted to focus on some Olympic lifting as well, so
cool.
All well for it, but I think he's probably come back for that axle world record. But yeah, anyway, for me personally, they're all very doable weights. It's going to be very much just make sure we get through it nice and quick, no mistakes. Should be pretty good on that one.
So it's a little bit different for me. Actually, the first 3 are absolutely fine. So definitely got a 60 kilo axle overhead. I've definitely got the dumbbells, and I've definitely got the barbell down. So I've got a 60 kilo axle. The dumbbells are 22.5. And then the barbell is 62.5. Then we come to log. And let's just face it, I'm not very good at log.
We're not friends with the log, are we?
We're not friends with the log, and we are trying really hard. To the point where, at the moment, I have log programmed to do, I think, in every session. So that is like 4 times
all the
times
volume.
a week.
All the volume.
All the volume.
For all the gains.
And I'm like, I still can't even get 65.
It'll happen, dude.
Which is ridiculous, because I can press the axle and I can get a barbell, 65 and plus above my head. But the log and me are just not friends. And it was a bit the same when I had the UKNS finals. Like, axle fine, log just goes to pieces.
Early in your prep as well, you were flying with the log as well.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I think it's more mental than it is physical.
So one thing that we have changed with my training, which we can just talk about, is when I did the UKNS log and axle, I was push jerking. So, and the same I'll probably stick with that for the axle for this one, because it's at 60 kilos. And the barbell probably will be a split jerk. But one thing I have started to learn is how to split jerk the log. I'm trying.
It took a year, folks. We got there.
So that is.
You've got a training block to peak that. You've got a training block to peak that split jerk on the log.
Very lucky. I've had some good input for some good coaches.
You
So
will
Matt
learn it.
and my coach Adam here, and I also did a workshop with Faye as well. So Faye Pittman, thank you very much. Faye was the first person to ever get me to split jerk the log.
We have the benefit of training at a Olympic weightlifting gym as well, so we have plenty of Olympic lifters to help us out along the way, call us out when we go a bit wayward with our split jerks.
But this is my nemesis. So for me, the whole thing for me at the moment is, do I spend and invest the time currently training to try and get 1 rep on the log, or is that time better spent somewhere else?
This is the question.
To be decided. I haven't got a clue.
Points means prizes.
Points and prizes?
Point means prizes. Every
Yeah,
point
but
counts.
I
That's
don't
why.
know.
Yep.
Anyway, we'll see.
Anyway,
We'll see.
so
Event number 4.
event number 4.
Your favourite.
End of day 1.
Is the sandbag medley.
Ooh.
Bum, bum, bum.
Is it sandbag to shoulder medley or the other one?
No, the other one.
No.
So it's a 15-metre carry, load over a yoke. I don't know how high the yoke is actually, and I don't think it's said on the...
I don't believe it'll be a set height. I don't
doesn't
imagine.
matter. So load over the yoke, 2 of those, and then you've got a Husafel sandbag carry for max distance until you run out of time. Is that right?
Juicy. Yep, that's
So
right, yeah.
for you, as an under 80 athlete, you've got to load the 100 bag, the 110 kilo bag, and then you've got a 120 Husafel carry for distance.
Husafel sandbag carry for distance, isn't it? Yeah.
So for me, I have got a 70 load, an 80 load, and then an 80 kilo carry for distance.
How do you feel about those weights?
Well, we've got them, haven't we? I can do them.
Well, yeah, you've got them. You're doing them at the comp.
I can do them.
Yep.
I can do it. Yeah, 70's fine. I have loaded the 80 before. 80 carry. Never carried a sandbag Husafel. So this is what we're going to talk about. So Matt did the competition last week. You did the British Strongest Under 80s. And it had a Husafel sandbag carry for distance in it.
It did indeed.
So it was also a lot heavier than this one. So you've got to carry 120 on the day. You were carrying 135 last week, and you did 64 metres.
60, yeah.
Just quickly, the winning distance the other week was 104 metres. Pretty epic. So we should be expecting, I think, from the lads doing 120, some big numbers. I say big numbers, but obviously it depends how much time we've got.
I think
we're looking at a metre per second, at least.
I think a big thing about that is going to be, I don't think we can, obviously, yeah, you can draw some stuff from like Brits last week, like the other week on that Husafel carry, but obviously we haven't just loaded 2 sandbags over 30 metres.
True.
So, and again, also not done squat for reps, heavy
True.
yoke and everything. So last event of the day, even though it's 4, it's a very heavy and taxing day, that is. So, for me personally, the weights aren't going to be an issue, I don't feel. Like 100, 110, 120, all very manageable sandbags. I think the fatigue factor by the end of the day is going to be a big one. So I think the fitter athletes, the guys who can pick up the bag, get it done in one load, not have to like reload for the like, I don't know, go to load over the yoke, not make it, have to drop it, go again.
Okay.
It's very, very much going to be,
if you can get minimising the number of pickups you have to do.
If you can really nail those first 2 sandbags, stay as fresh as possible, without having to like pick it up, drop it, do like 5 pickups more than you need to. I think you're going to get a good distance on that. But again, because it's that time limit, you've got to do the other loads as well. It could be an interesting one. But the biggest difference, obviously, with that Husafel is that it's a big squishy mess.
Yeah, so when we did the UKNS finals in Ireland, we had a Husafel carry, but it was a big metal, like Husafel, metal shield, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it does make a difference. So tell us, because you've done both, how do they differ? What's the technique for picking up the sandbag one?
For me, like the sandbag one, the biggest difference is it's moving, it's slipping, it's sliding, like the canvas is going to slide on your skin and stuff, whereas like you pick up the metal one, it sticks to your grip top, sticks in the crook of your arm. Like, I don't know why nobody else at UKNS was going bare skin. Like, there wasn't many people going bare skin on it, but like you go bare skin and it just sits in your skin.
I've got the bruises to prove it.
Obviously, the sandbag being sand, it's going to shuffle about a lot. I'm not going to give too much away, but we learnt a lot about the difference at Brits. You know, little things like readjusting, little things like making sure you've got it in the right position to start with. Like, I think they're all going to make a big difference.
Yeah, so it's really important, I guess, to get it in the right position early, isn't it? Because we were watching people try to readjust to the sandbag and hoik it up higher partway through.
It doesn't go anywhere.
It just doesn't move. It really doesn't. So, yeah, you need to get it up high and keep it as high as possible for as long as possible, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't you?
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be a beast of a final event, and it's also like going into day 2. That's going to be heavy on the legs. Like, I don't know if anybody's done a comp before, but like if you've competed out there before, have a think about how you felt the morning after, and then think about going to another comp, which we will talk about in part 2.
Yes. So that concludes part 1. That concludes the first day, which is Saturday.
Yep.
And we will come back and we'll talk to you about Sunday and the next 4 events next time.
That's it. We'll see you in part 2. Bye-bye, guys.
First thing Ash texted me this morning. All right, Fatty.
But yeah.
You look like you're drinking piss.
It's been a stressful week.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Doing 300.
So for myself, as an under 80, we're going to be doing 320 kilos.
No, you're doing 300.
We're not, it's 320.
It's
I
not.
thought it was more than what we did at
No, it's
England.
the same, because I looked at it. It's
I've
under
got Brits
80s.
in my head. I've got Brits in my head.
It's 300.
Okay, cool, edit.
But I'm not worried about telling someone I can't do the log.
Well, no, I say that and then I give away it straight away.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it just to fucking be a dick. I'm happy giving away tactics and stuff. I'm going to fucking win it anyway. If they want to keep up, they can try and keep up.
I think that was all right.
That's right, motherfuckers.